Hi everyone, just to let you know, we'll be starting in a couple of moments. All right. Hi everyone, thank you for joining the first of our demonstrations in our week of webinars event. My name's Rachel and today I'll be taking you through a demonstration of KC Smart Stock. So whether you already use Smart Stock and have joined for a refresher, or you've either never seen the solution before and are wondering whether it's going to be a fit for your business, then hopefully you'll find this useful. If you have any questions, then you'll see that there is a Q&A chat function on here, so feel free to just type any questions and I'll answer as many as I can at the end of the demonstration for you. So hopefully you can see my screen and see KC Smart Stock in the background. So what you're currently seeing here is the application client. So this is a software which can run on Windows devices. So typically our customers may use them on a tablet device, but then their managers may have them running on their PC so that they can allocate tasks to them, for example. This will make a lot more sense as I run through the demonstration if you've never seen it before, so just bear with me, and yeah, it will all fit into place for you. So for those of you that don't know, KC Smart does integrate with multiple accounts packages ranging from Sage, Pegasus, through to Exchequer. There's a few other ones on there as well, so if you're unsure whether it's compatible with the solution that you're using, then of course ask and we'll certainly be able to advise on that. So the full system that runs, it's based on Windows services. The reason that this is a benefit to you is it's multi-threaded, so it's basically allowing multiple people and devices to work with the Smart Stock system simultaneously. So as an example, if you are receiving goods in, somebody else can be doing a stock take at the same time. And also if you have multiple locations or multiple warehouses, then this will work together as well, and still feed back to your accounts package. So it's really important. The main key selling point of Smart Stock and why most of our customers would have bought it would be to do with that seamless integration with the accounts package. So we take away any manual processing whatsoever. So there's no sort of potential errors between your stock taking and what your accounts package believes that you have in. So therefore you should always have up-to-date reporting and there shouldn't be any discrepancies, and if there are, they'll be highlighted on our reporting system. So the licenses, the way that they're based, they are device based, they're not concurrent, so you would buy a license per device. Just before I go into the main functionality, the system, I'll just point out a few key features. So things like we have an on-screen keyboard. So as I mentioned before, we typically sell these on a tablet device with a detachable keyboard. So we have this really just so that you don't have to keep attaching a keyboard just for logging in. So purely just for ease of use or just for writing quick notes. KC Smart Stock also has its own internal messaging system. So whether you just want to send to somebody else within the team a quick message, or when you're allocated a task or you've completed a task as the user, then these will pass backwards and forwards, and you'll see this working as we go through the demonstration today. So what I will just do before I jump into the main functionality is show you the KC label designer. So it sits outside of the main software, mainly because you don't need to really use it all the time. Once you've set it up, then unless you go and change all of your labels again, then you won't really need to mess around with it too much. I just kind of wanted to show you how easy it is. So we have a few different tabs that you'll be able to see here. So label types is basically the type of label, so whether it's a shelf edge label, a sticky label, a large end of aisle label, whatever it is that you're wanting to create, we have the ability to go and create them here. So as an example, you can see that it will pull up a preview screen and there's various different blocks that you can add on and designs that you can do, so different types of font. We can add in background colours as well. There's all sorts of options there for you, and again I'll point out the areas within KC Smart Stock where you'll use this throughout the demonstration, but it's a really easy way of just creating your own barcode labels, if you want to use them, I suppose. So jumping into Smart Stock then, so you can see on my screen here, I have two different tabs here. So I have Head Office. So if you imagine Head Office is basically the manager. So sometimes it's the head office that would deal with all of the allocation tasks, but it could just be your team manager. That would be setting up stock takes, allocating out pick lists, basically managing the team who physically complete those tasks. The device is the actual user, so your warehouse workers or your stock takers or order pickers, whoever they may be. So only one of these options would be here, depending on which permission you have, of course. So if I take you through a typical process of KC Smart Stock, you may not use all of the functionality that I'm going to show you. Some of it you might choose to do in the accounts package, but it's just really to show you that that option is here, and whether it fits your business or not is your decision. So if you imagine, the first thing that you would need to do is create a purchase order, because obviously we need to order some stock. So if as simple as this, if I literally go on here to click add purchase order, if I've got multiple locations, it will ask me which location I'm creating my purchase order for. If I don't have multiple locations, this will automatically default and I won't have to go and select that every time. Where it's saying supplier account here, this is now pulling through all of my suppliers that I have set up within my accounts package. So it will now pull through. You can see which one you've selected, just in case you've accidentally selected the wrong one. We can give it a reference here and a comment as well, which will also pull through onto the purchase order. So if it's something like, please do not deliver on weekends. If I want it to go to a different delivery address, then that's absolutely fine. I can type in this here and it will overwrite the delivery address. If not, it will automatically pick the one that I have saved against that supplier within my accounts package. So as simple as that in terms of creating the beginning of that purchase order. Now it's just for me to go and add on the type of items that I want to. So if I use barcodes, I can simply just scan the shelf edge or, you know, scan the item. So it could just be that you are walking around the warehouse and you realise, oh, actually we're low on that, let me order some of them, scan the shelf edge label, type it in however many you want, and as quick as that you've created a purchase order. If not, then you can just type in or part type the stock code, anything like that, and it will pull up. So I have multiple barcodes against this one item, so this is why it's pulling through two options for me, so I can select them. And then it's as simple as saying how many I want to order. So again, and this unit price will pull through from the accounts package, so the default stock unit cost price that I have set against that item, I can override that at this point as well if I wanted to or needed to. So let me just, apologies for the random concoction of items on here. It's I'm using demo data, so I know the ones that are in there. So I'm starting to build up my purchase order, and for now I can just simply come out of that. So we can see that it's set up 14th of the 1st. You can see all of my notes there and the fact the status is outstanding. So at the moment, I haven't done anything with that purchase order. So I have the option to add to that throughout the day or the week or whatever, and then send it off at the end, or I can literally do it now. So again, based on permissions, I have two different options. If I authorize to accounts, this will simply process that and pass that through to my accounts package to set up the purchase order. If you don't want your users to have that ability to just go and create purchase orders within your accounts package, you can actually pass for authorization, and then it will basically pass for the manager, so then they would go into their area and they would actually go and authorize that purchase order. Okay, so I've just passed that for authorization. So what we would be doing now, so obviously we've ordered our stock from our suppliers, so the next thing that we would need to do is hopefully the goods will turn up and we'll want to receive them in. So really familiar. So all I need to do is add on my goods receipt, part type my number, So this will request the purchase order details. So it's basically searching for any purchase orders that have a number 5 in at the moment. So I know that I have mine there available. This is now reading from my accounts package and pulling through all of those items. So you can see here that there's various items listed on this purchase order. If I wanted to, I can press the receipt all button, and that will just automatically receive everything. So if it's just a few items and I can see that they're all there, I don't have to individually go through each item. If not, then I can literally just double click. So if you remember it, oh sorry, I need to just type in the delivery reference number. So again, it's popping up to say I've done something wrong. It's not allowing me to go ahead, and it will also pull through the supplier details as well. But now moving back to where I was, I can literally type in and say how many of each item I'm receiving. Not sure how well the colour will be coming through on this demo, but hopefully you can see that some of them are turning orange. This is because I've part received an order. So I do have the ability, if only half of my orders arrived, to actually just receive in that, keep the purchase order open until it's been fully received, but to start working with the items that I actually physically have now in my warehouse. You should be able to see that this one, the prawn cocktail, is actually green as well. So that is because I've fully received that part of my purchase order. I do have the ability at this point, so I showed you the label printer earlier, I do have the ability to produce labels. So this will now, if I've selected my items to have sticky labels for each item individually, it will now read the quantity and print out the relevant label based on those areas. So it will put it into a label queue, and then once you go to the label printer and press start queue, it will automatically print everything that you've asked it to. Okay, so again, I've got that one outstanding. So the 14th of the 1st, you can see that there. And again, I've got the option to now just authorize to accounts or pass for authorization. So I'm just now posting that to my accounts. Every time I do that, it will pop up and it will start to give me the option to print a PDF, email a copy, save a PDF, whatever. So I've got a record of all of that. So now then, we've ordered our goods from our suppliers. They've now turned up, and as simple as that, we've booked them into stock. So hopefully you'll see that that's quite an easy process to follow. As we go through the demo, you'll realise, if you're not already using SmartStock, how easy the screens are to use. You cannot go wrong. It won't let you move forward, and it's really sort of, all of the screens are familiar. So once you've learned one of them, it's pretty obvious how to use the others, I suppose. So now we have our stock in, so there's various different things that we can do with that stock. So from adjustment captures, so if I wanted to either book a stock item in or out, so again, if I've got multiple locations, it will give me the option. If I don't, it will just leave that there. So I can just give it a reference and say what the stock code is, for example, and then I can say authorized by Rachel. And now it's literally as simple as, if I want as well, sorry, I can give it an adjustment reason. So this will give me the categories. I don't have any set up, but it depends on whether you use them and you want to be able to actually record why they've actually been booked in or out. But again, if it's possible to smash a stick, I'm about to do it, and I can just say how many I'm booking out, and we can book stock in and out all of the time as well. So it's really simple way of updating Sage without having to worry too much and keep going in and out of the accounts package. Whichever accounts package you're using, it will just automatically update for you as soon as you've pressed that authorize to accounts button. So now that will update. Okay, so there are a few other different things that we can do within SmartStock. So anything from direct location transfer. So that is really if you're within the same warehouse, but there's a new location, so you don't really need tracking of this. So it might just be rearranging your warehouse, or maybe you have stock in an overflow bin and you want to move it to the main bin. It just allows you to move stock from a bin area to another one really easily. We also have location replenishment request. So this one's a little bit more in depth. It's more if you've got multiple warehouses, so you can select which warehouse you want to order from, and which warehouse you want the replenishment to come from. So if I select two different ones, so I'm basically asking that location A sends me whichever amount of stock items I'm about to put on, and sends it. So it might be that you hold all of your stock at the main warehouse, and just you have a certain amount within your actual branches, or that you've just run out and you know that somebody else has some, so you can get it quicker from them than you can from ordering it from the supplier. So and you can give it a comment as well if you wanted to. So I will just simply add on a few items, tell them how many I'm wanting them to send me. Okay, so again, same process. I can basically pass for authorization, or just automatically process that. So what will happen with this one is it's passing for authorization, sorry, with the location replenishment request. So what we can actually see is as the warehouse or branch that you've ordered it from, they'll be able to actually go in and they can see transfer requests. So the 14th of the 1st, you can see that one there already. So you can actually dispatch it. So the reason why this is really, really good is, so I can say, yep, dispatching all of these items. So I can now kind of come out of there, authorize that, so it's now booking it out of my stock. But what it's actually doing, instead of just booking out of my stock and then not being accounted for, it was actually booking it to another location, which we call in transit. So we know that this stock has physically left warehouse A, and if it hasn't, then we can print a copy to prove it as well. If it then hasn't physically arrived at location B, we know that something's happened whilst in transit. All that then happens is if you receive your location replenishment order, as the other warehouse, you'll then do your in-transit receipt. So again, the 14th of the 1st, you can see how quickly this is actually passing through. So I can now just add a receipt on there and say, yep, I'm now receiving them. And what this will be doing is booking that now into my stock. So now when I do stock takes or anything like that, that will be available to show on my records, not on the location A records. If I hadn't have received it, it would just show as I mentioned in the in-transit area as well. So we can also do sales orders. So this might not be something that you want to do in Smart Stock. We work with quite a few trade counters that may often go around their warehouse. They might advise customers who kind of come in saying, we've got this job on, what would you recommend? So they might physically walk around, and rather than taking everything to a till, they just create the sales order there and then. They might not want to take the goods away. It might then get put for picking later on, so they can still do everything that I've just mentioned, but without actually taking the items. So sales orders is really, really easy to create on here. You may also use sales orders from Smart Stock if you have people within your business that their sole job is to create sales orders. If that's all that they do all day long, then you may not want to purchase an accounts package license. They can be quite expensive, and sometimes most of the time our licenses are cheaper. It's a really easy way as well for people to be creating sales orders without going into the accounts package. So same as before, but just for sales orders instead of purchase orders. So you select your location. Instead of pulling through supplier accounts, this is pulling through all of my customer accounts. So this is reading through back to my accounts package and pulling through everybody that I have on there. I can see if they've got a credit limit as well and what their balance is. So if this sales order is going to take me over their credit limit, then it won't let me proceed with that at all. So yeah, it won't let me move forward. So what I would say is, if you do use customer accounts, if you use different price bands or anything like that, it will also automatically pull through and amend the pricing accordingly to their price band. So again, I might this time we'll do a summer order, and again might not not want the order on a weekend, for example. So similarly to before, I'm simply just typing in or scanning my barcode. So I'm just scanning just so that you, typing so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. But starting to create your sales order. So your items are down here. Again, I can leave that. I can add on to it as the time goes by. So it might just be that they've phoned up and said, yeah, I'm coming in. So I might create that order for them. There's always the option to pass for authorization or authorize 2 accounts as well. So the only difference with pass for authorization is that the manager would then go into their area of this, so whether it's a sales order, and they would then review that and simply authorize 2 accounts. So I mentioned before, you can either see a copy of that, print a copy, email, save as PDF, so it's easy to record at any one time. So it is really important to mention as well, actually, say for example, I'm in the middle of doing a stock take, or well, any of these options on here, and then a lorry turns up and I need to receive some goods in. I can do that. I can easily jump around screens, and all it will do is just pause what I'm doing until I complete that task. So it's really easy to do multiple tasks in one go as well. So I did just create a sales order. So now what will happen, as the manager, you have a little bit more option around what you're doing. So you might want to now review that pick and selection. So the good thing about this pick and selection is it won't only pull sales orders that I've created on Smart Stock, it will pull through sales orders whether they're on my accounts package. So if I just created them directly in my accounts package, or also if we have something called Smart Link, which will pull through web orders. So if you have customers that place orders on their website, or on your website, sorry, we can actually pull them automatically into the accounts package, and therefore on Smart Stock we're able to pick them up and allocate them for order picking. So it's a really easy way of collating all of those areas. So at the moment, I can see I've got 2 outstanding, typically for the same company. So you can see I've been doing demos before, but 14th of the 1st, the one from today, at the moment, it isn't assigned to a device, so that I haven't done anything with that yet. If there's many down here, I can actually just assign all to a device at once. But if I just want to individually sort of spread those out, I can just assign. So I've called mine a warehouse device. You may call all of your devices by the names of your actual users. So they might log in and I'm allocating to Claire, Rachel, whoever it is that you have in your team. So it's just a bit easier for you to see who's doing what. So what you can do is submit that to them, and they'll be able to actually go and pick that order. So I'm now getting a message up here to say that is complete and that the details are being sent to their devices. They'll actually get a message pop up to say you've now had an order submitted to you. So at the bottom here you can see that's popping up, and they'll be able to see that in their messaging system as well. So let's see here, you can just see that 1026 that they've got these assignments for picking. So they can now, when they go into their pick and scan, this will now pull through. So again, the 14th of the 1st, they can see they've got 2 orders here for picking. You'll see how quickly this is passing through. It's really efficient and a really quick way to get orders through to your team. They can now commence picking. See, I only had a couple of items on here, but what will happen is as they pick, it's literally just a case of scanning and saying how many items they're actually picking. So I can see, right, yeah, I've just picked 5, and you'll see that line is now gone. And again, if I click on here and I scan 4 items, they're gone. So it's a really easy way as the user's actually picking to keep track and see what they've already picked, really. So the list will just get smaller and smaller. Once they've completed that, they simply press complete picking. This will now go off of their list. So you can only see the one that was there already previously. So they can just come out of that. As the manager, I keep saying manager, it's not always the manager, it's really whoever you want to have that functionality and be processing these, but when they go in, they will be able to have a look in that picking, so they can now see all of these orders, the status is picked. So the 14th of the 1st, here's the one from today, but you can see all of these ones. And what we can do is just multi-select all of these lines as I'm doing and progress to delivery note. So what that will do is actually sort of print you a dispatch note for them. We are in the process of doing full courier integration. So once we have that, we will actually be able to take it one step further and be able to pass that through to the company that we're working with, and they will sort of have a look at the size of the package that you're sending and dispatching, and they will recommend to you which courier is the best and the best price and who can get it there the quickest based on that criteria. So it will kind of do all of it for you. Again, you have those options always to email, print a copy, so there's always a reference. So this is now just requesting those delivery note details as well. It's going to do it multiple times just because there's 5 here for me, but yeah. So now you'll see they've actually gone off, and the delivery note will have been printed, and it will have gone literally to the dispatch team to physically send those items out of the door. You'll see throughout this demo that quite a lot I've been passing backwards and forwards from manager to warehouse users. You don't have to do that. If you just do everything, you can just go in and allocate it. You don't actually need to allocate it to somebody in particular. You can just allocate to yourself. So it does cut out that passing, but a lot of our customers prefer to use it where the manager or the person overseeing that team just has a little bit of an ability to kind of see what's going on and set out the tasks for their team members as well. Just take the worry off of them so that they can literally just get on with their job, really. So there is also one of the key things, so stock taking. So I really want to show you how easy it is to actually do a stock take. So if I was to set up a stock take now, so if I set up a Feb stock take, I can at the beginning of the year set up all of my stock takes in advance if I wanted. So we have various different ways of doing your stock takes. We would always advise to kind of do various different types, mainly because it will spot any trends or any potential issues quite early. But what I can do is just set them all up at the beginning of the year and then just not allocate them until I'm ready. But it just means that you're not having to keep going into it and setting them up as every month or whatever. So we have a few options which I'll just run through with you. So we have time frame, so immediate or scheduled. So I'm going to do an immediate stock take for demo purposes, but we can actually schedule for it to start on a certain date, and therefore you can actually just allocate now to the correct person. The only problem is if they leave, obviously it will be allocated to them, but it's easy enough to change. There's various different types. So currently it's on specified. So what specified is, I can select from within these categories. So I might just want to do a specified stock takes on bin locations A to E, for example, or just on this category, or just on the stock range or supplier. So maybe a supplier is going into administration or something like that, and you've got quite a lot of their stock in, so you want to do a stock take to see what you've got available and then run a promotion to get rid of it, basically. So you have that option there as well. We also have the ability to do a random stock take. So what this is doing is either giving me the ability to do a 25% or whatever percent, I can amend that quite easily here, or a certain number of items at total random. So what we would say is do a random stock take at least every quarter. So if you did a 25% random stock take every quarter, then the likelihood is you will find out any potential issues. It is completely random, so just because you've done a stock take in quarter 1 and certain items have come up, it doesn't mean that those items won't come up again in quarter 2, 3 and 4. That's actually a really good thing. As much as we all hate to think about it, unfortunately, with some businesses have kind of reported that some of their staff were saying, "All right, yeah, well that's been stock. We know that item's came up in the stock take in Q1, so I can steal it in effect because it's not going to come up on a stock take for another year." This kind of cuts that because they never know it could come up all of the quarters. And then we also have the ability to do a highest unit cost stock take. So what you might want to do is every month do your top 10 or 20 highest unit cost items. So obviously you need to really keep track of them. Every quarter do a random stock take, and then every year when the auditors are coming in, still do your full specified stock take and leave it as all, so it literally pulls through all of your stock items. And then any other specified in the midst of the year, then you've got that option really simple to set up as well. So I'm going to do a specified just so that I know that my demo items come up in here, but you can leave a message to your staff as well. It will also give you the ability again to select that location if you've got multiple locations. So for now, I'm just creating that. So this is now reading back to my accounts package and pulling me a snapshot. So you can see here my Feb stock take that I've just set up on the 14th of January. And it's a waiting assignment. So at the moment, I haven't allocated it or assigned it to anybody. So I've got the option there to just simply go in and assign to devices. You can set the same stock take to go to multiple people, so they all do the same stock take just so that you can compare and make sure that everybody comes back with the same figures. But you can see here now it's awaiting start by devices. They've just received a message in the bottom corner, hopefully you could see that, to say that they have a stock take ready. So as the user, when I now go in, mine's just stock counts instead of stock take processing, and you can literally see already this is ready for me to go and do my stock take. So as I mentioned before, and I will stress, it's really quick. You're not hanging around too long at all to get that stock take from yourselves to your users. So when they're ready, they can simply go and count stock. So I forgot to mention, actually, it did give me the option to do seen or blind. So seen is showing me what my accounts package believes I have in stock. Blind is basically not showing. We would always advise, unless it's literally you doing the stock take, to select blind. This is because otherwise you might find that people, if there's a lot of items, they just kind of go, yeah, Sage or Pegasus or whatever says there's 32 in stock, looks about right, and they just simply type that in. Whereas if it's blind and they don't know the snapshot, this column here won't be available, and they won't have any idea how much the accounts package believes is available. So I can now simply go and type in or scan my shelf edge label, and it will pop up, and I'll automatically just say how many of each of my items I've got. Okay, so I'll just fill in a few for now. If I've run out of time and I've completed my stock take, that's fine. I can just complete it where I'm up to, and it will just send back the ones that I've done. So you can see here what I've typed in. So you can see it started, but when I'm ready and I've finished that, the manager will also be able to see the status has started. But when I've finished and done as much as I can simply complete mine. It will go off of my list, so I've done my task. I don't need to worry about that anymore. That's now for my manager to go and review and have a look at. When, as the manager, I now go into my stock taking process, I can see all devices are complete, and I can actually go and process that stock take. So what this is now doing is pulling through all of those figures. So you can see I purposely typed in a few wrong items, so I can now filter just to my counted items. I can have a look at my non-counted, and I might then just select them and create a recount and allocate them to somebody else because they didn't get time to do those ones. And I can just have a look at my variance where I might go, actually, I don't believe that, go and recount it and get somebody to redo it. Or if I want to start the whole stock take again, I can simply zeroize all quantities and start fresh. It's really easy. If I actually know why that's wrong, they're not missing, they're sat on my desk for some reason or something like that, I can actually just go in, sorry, I type in the correct amount, update that, enter that quantity and update that stock take for you. I can do labels as well. So if I want to reproduce all of my labels for these items, or I want to print a report or anything like that, I can do that as well. When I'm now ready, I can just now authorize that to account. So what that will do is literally go and say to my accounts package, this is my correct number of items as well. So again, if you are using our web link and you have integration with KC Smart, and also if you use KC POS, our EPOS solution, then the till will know exactly how much you've got available, so there won't be any sort of discrepancies between the two. And this is the real benefit of having that true accounts integration with no manual processing. There's just no option really for there to be any differences between all of those solutions. Okay, so if I just complete off my stock take just to say, yep, I've done these ones. Okay, so that is really how simple it is to do a stock take. We would really advise you to kind of have a look into your processes at the moment. We do get a lot of customers that kind of say, oh, we only do one a year when the auditors are in, but nobody can remember what happened to some stock that might have gone missing several months ago. So yeah, we would always advise to try and keep on track of that. It will definitely make your life easier in the long run. A few other things just to point out then. So we have a stock inquiry screen. So this is as simple as either scanning an item. So for example, I'm just picking one of my demo data. So I can have a look at my available stock. So if I've got multiple locations, this will read back to my accounts packages, and it will show me at each of my locations what bin these items are allocated in, how many I've actually got in stock, how many of this stock is actually free, because it might be in stock but it may be allocated already onto a sales order. And also if I've got, so I can see I've got -1 somehow of this item, but actually I've got a purchase order with 17,000 on its way in, so it's not a problem. I know that my delivery days are on Tuesdays, so I know that one might come in very soon. So it's just a really, really simple way. The other thing you can do is have a full look at transaction history. So what this will do is show me absolutely everything that I've done with this item. So I can filter into 30, 90, last 12 months. So it's literally giving me the option to kind of see who's booking them in and out. So if there was a transfer out, transfers in, exactly any comments relating to that. So suddenly if I'm getting loads of replenishment requests, then maybe I need to store more on at that particular branch because we're just running out too often. Or if I'm constantly creating or requesting a purchase order, then maybe I need to go back to my supplier and request a better bulk buy price because I'm not ordering enough in one go. So it's quite basic because that's all it really needs to be, but it's just a really easy way of seeing everything that's going on with a particular stock item as well. We do also have a control center. So as the manager, usually you'll just have the option to see this because you're the one allocating these options, but what it is doing is really pulling through everything into one area. So rather than individually having to search for a sales or a purchase order or whatever, as I was showing you, you can just go to here. I can have a look at all of my scheduled stock takes that are either overdue or due today. I can have a look at anything that's awaiting for me to authorize it. So I can see I've got a location transfer awaiting authorization, and I've also got a purchase order awaiting authorization. So I can simply just select these, have a look at it, and then say yes, I want to go and actually authorize that to account as well. So with it, it just catches up and pulls through that data. it also, when it pops back up, there we go, it will also give me the ability to just create the dispatch from here, so I don't have to individually go into every single item and create the GRN as you saw me do for that individual item. I can just do it all from here. And also, if I've got lots of sales orders for picking, you'll see assign to self. So I mentioned it's a really, really quick way of assigning it to yourself to go around and do, or assign to device. So I might want to go, right, yeah, this one and this one, these are going to be assigned to user A, and then this one and this one, I'm going to assign it to this device. So the yellow means that it's been assigned, but that nothing's actually happened with it. So there you go, you can see these three at the top here haven't been assigned to anybody. This one has, but they haven't yet picked that, or it hasn't yet been dispatched. Okay. We do also have our stock reorder system. So it's got various things that you can do within stock reorder, but one of the key things that people might use it for would be to basically provide either replenishment history. They might look at historical trends, so this time versus this time last year, or historical trends in terms of the average sales over a certain number of weeks, for example. You can really choose one, but and flick between them. But if I was to create a stock reorder, don't have too much demo data, so it might not be as pretty. But if I do a Feb stock reorder, again, had the filters there to select through, so it's going to create a new one for me. So it's just pulling through my items, and it is recommending, so based on my current stock quantity, it's recommending me what my order quantity should be to keep up with my demands as well. So I've got it set on historical time this time last year. So based on demands from last year, this is what it's recommending me. I don't have to actually do that. I can go in and amend it and go, actually, I don't agree with that. I only want to order 10, because I remember somebody just came in and bought a lot in comparison to the usual. But you can see here there's I can create a purchase order for them, but I can just order all of the recommended here as well if I agree with everything. But you can sort of show the order calculation as well, so it does really sort of show you it, and it will break it down into a graph as well. So the more data obviously you've got, the better this graph will be on showing you what your minimum, maximum stock levels and things like that should be as well. And then the last kind of main thing that I really want to mention is just that we have the ability to set bin location route sequences. So you can see that in here. So all it's doing is allowing me within a location to have a look at all of my bin locations and to put them into a sequence. So I might say, yeah, this is route sequence number 1. So rather than it being in alphabetical order, I'm actually saying the best way is to go and walk around my warehouse. So you can see that the order's now changing based on this sequence rather than the bin location. So the benefit of this is either you've set up your warehouse and then you've realised maybe it's not the right way to walk around, or we can actually allocate it so that based on say for example your picking list, you might want to pick your order in a certain order. So if you're a trade counter, for example, you want your heavy stuff at the bottom, and then obviously getting lighter as you go up, or anything that's on a pallet might go at the bottom. It will actually take you in the correct sequence to meet those requirements, rather than you just picking everything, getting to the van and then having it all jumbled up and not being able to load those. It will just send you a different route around. So it's just really, really convenient. It's not something you have to use, but we have that option in there as well. But really, that is Casey Smart Stock. So I appreciate that's kind of a quick whiz through. If I just flick over, I'll just double check if there's any questions that I can see at the moment. So I've got one here. Does SmartLink communicate back to the website to update the dispatch status of the order, or do we need to manually mark the order as dispatched? No, so it will automatically actually it will automatically pop that through. So it's all to do with the configuration on the tables of data that you select to go through, but it will actually allow you to post those and update the website. So there's all sorts of information that you can pass through to your website as well. So aside from just the dispatch status, it will pull through things like 10 sold in the last hour, or only 5 left in stock, or whatever. So you've got those options there as well. Okay. So that's the only question that I can currently see on there. If you do have any more, then feel free to get in touch either with your account manager, or my name's Rachel Jakings, so you'll be able to find me either on LinkedIn, or just call up and ask for me, or just simply calling into the office and somebody will be able to help you out with any questions that you might have, or if you're interested in pricing, then obviously we can put that together for you as well. But thank you very much for joining today. I mentioned at the beginning, you've probably seen our promotion for it. It is our week of webinars, so we've got several events running on this week. If you visit either the HPP Systems or the Cameron Computers website and click on events, then you'll see a full list and you can register, and it will automatically send you the link to actually join that event as you have today. But yeah, thank you very much for joining, everyone, and yeah, hopefully we'll speak to you soon.